What's up, and welcome back to another episode of Insights, the podcast built to help you with your recruitment and digital marketing. I'm joined this week by Steve Gipson. Steve, how are we feeling this week, buddy?
I'm good. I'm a little thrown off because you talked about how poor I looked last episode.
I didn't phrase it that way. I said you look good today. I didn't say you looked bad last time. I gave you positive feedback, not negative.
It's not what you said. It's what you left out. And so I was able to pick up on that. And so I'm going to go back and watch the episode.
Is it what I said, or is it how the message was received?
I don't know. It could be a little bit of both.
It could be.
But that being said, I'm going to go back and watch the episode. I encourage everyone else to go look and see how poorly I looked compared to this episode. So that way we can get a good balance of the many faces of Steve. Yeah. So that way
that's
we
right.
Get a good picture.
Go back to the episode on omni-channel marketing and leave a comment about how bad Steve looks. Steve, how's life, man? How's everything over at RW?
Good. We're busy. Busy. I think people are feeling the pressure of the fourth quarter coming up. Mm-hmm. And as you know, you've been doing this long enough. That's when everybody wants to have everything done by the end of the year and or by the beginning of the fourth quarter. And so it makes a lot of activity and puts a lot of pressure on everybody. But it's good. I like it like that. It's much more fun when you're under the pressure and under the gun. So
I like being busy. I like being productive. I don't want to just sit around and wait for calls or wait for things to happen, right? I'm feeling that over here too. I feel like I'm having more conversations with clients lately. Not that I wasn't before, but I feel like I'm getting ignored is the wrong word, but I'm having more people show up to the calls that are scheduled. I went through a weird period where for like a week or two, the majority of calls that were scheduled, people just weren't showing up.
Oh, really?
And I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I mean, I was just getting ghosted left and right. And these are like current clients, man. These aren't people that don't know me.
Right, they're people that actually like us.
We're out of that now. Yeah, we're out of that. So it's interesting. It's very good.
Yeah, it's something I think the more actionable conversations is the way I would put it now. It's more about now all the pieces are coming together. The timing's coming together. Let's get moving. So that's good to see. I think it bodes well for the industry. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. It does.
We have a grab bag episode today. Ahead of the conversation, we reached out to the team over here at Team Haley and asked for some questions that people have been hearing frequently, things that people have been seeing in the industry. So I think it's 2 or 3 questions for you that we are going to lean into for this episode. And then there are more that will make out a new episode. But to get us started, I want to share one from our co-CEO, Victoria Kenward here, Steve, and get your thoughts on it. How can a staffing firm adapt without overinvesting or wasting money? Something that I think is on a lot of people's mind right now as every new AI tool is popping out. We have all this new technology. We have tech stacks that need to be evaluated. We have things that are working, are not working. It's easy to chase the new shiny object. How do we continue to adapt as an industry without wasting time, money, and resources? What do you think?
Man, and there's probably not one great answer. One thing that comes to mind for me, so we have so many tools, right, as an industry that are available to us. And a staffing firm or recruiting firm will buy those, and they'll only use a very, very small part of the tool that they purchase.
Yeah.
And where that software can do so much more, but rather than take the time to learn every piece and get every last drop of the benefits of that software, they'll buy something else that does probably the same thing, but it's easier to learn. So they don't try to just focus on the one piece of technology at a time. So, I mean, if we're looking to adapt and not overinvest, think about the software that you've already bought into before moving on to the next one. See what it does. Call that company, get more training. And really try to find out read the manual, for God's sakes. Try to figure out how to get the most out of it. Watch a YouTube video about it and get the most out of that one piece of software that you've already invested in, and then see if you have to add something else to what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, for me, it's coming back to your overall goal and maybe the biggest challenge that you're facing and trying to find the solution that works closer towards that goal or towards that challenge. Right. I think if I paint the analogy to finances, right, if you make $100 a week, there's only so many places that $100 can go, right? And you, after your bills, whatever, you can save it, you can spend it, you can buy a bigger house if you have the money. If the $20, whatever, you can invest in this, you can buy this, you can do that, but you can't do it all, right? It just doesn't work. And I think when we look at staffing and recruiting firms who are trying to adapt, we're chasing sort of this new bright, shiny object without necessarily knowing why we're doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Right now, I think the best staffing and recruiting firms are saying, okay, this is the pain point. This is the challenge. This is what it is that we're trying to attack. And they're building a strategy around that. So it's saying, okay, we know right now we can't close orders. We're struggling to get new business. Okay, then scrap everything. Sit in a war room with everyone on your sales team. What's the sales process? What are you doing? Steve, to your point, what tools are you utilizing to then help you with the sales process? Are you using those tools effectively? Do you need all of those tools? Are your tools antiquated? Do you need new tools? Do you have the right tools? Do you have a screwdriver when you need a hammer? But actually figure that out. And I think the challenge, Steve, though, and why I think people get into a situation with overspending or simply not adapting is they don't want to put in the work or put in the time to figure all that out.
Right. Yeah. And what are we adapting for? Right. I think you as you kind of said, well, like, what's the goal? Like, so we'll look around and we'll see everybody else around us doing something. And when we say, well, because everyone else is doing this, I should be doing this too.
Right.
But is that always the case? So does adapting always mean investing in a new technology or changing something so drastically? And I don't know exactly how I want to phrase this in my mind, but what does adapting actually look like in 2025? And does it mean I have to adapt everything else that everyone else is doing? Or is adapting sometimes just, and this is going to sound stupid, but is it sometimes just sitting still and doing what you know to do very, very well? And that is adapting to the environment of what's happening within your industry by not changing things. Does that make sense?
I think it makes complete sense. I think we live
Let's not get carried away. Not complete sense.
You made an okay point, let's be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we live in echo chambers, right? So AI, if you start looking at AI tools and you're researching how you can integrate AI into your workflow as a staffing and recruiting firm, you are going to start to see more ads about AI technology on Facebook. You're going to see more ads about AI technology in Google. You might even start, because of all of that, start to get emails about AI technology as relates to staffing and recruiting firms. And now, because you're seeing that more, you're now thinking, oh gosh, there are probably so many other staffing firms that are doing this. Because you're seeing it so frequently, you're making the assumption that others are seeing it more frequently. So you're creating this sort of inherent echo chamber. And the more you look at it, the more you're going to see, the worse it gets, to a point where you feel like you're behind, and it's just because you're doing your due diligence and you're researching. So I think what's important, to your point, and it was a good point, is have the courage in Q4 to pump the brakes and just say, again, where do we want to be this time next year? I don't want to feel the way I do this time next year. It's really hard to close new orders. Okay, what do we need to change? What's working? What's not? Let's have that honest conversation with people that we respect in our business and figure that out. Right now, it's really hard to source candidates. Okay, great. Let's talk to our recruiters. What's working? What's not? If something's not working, punt it. Do something different. There's no sense in wasting time in tactics that aren't working in 2026. Get rid of it. So it's having the courage to, in my mind, it's having the courage to be open to change, while also having the courage to sit still for a second and just think and make your own decisions. And then also lean on team members, lean on coaches that can help get you to the next stage of your business. Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about my friends at MJA and Associates. For over 20 years, they've helped staffing firms just like yours save serious money by identifying and claiming federal and state tax credits, such as the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, handling the entire process from start to finish. The best part? With their performance-based pricing, they only get paid when your business saves. No setup costs, just real savings. Stop worrying about the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and let my friends at MJA and Associates do what they do best. To learn more, visit mja-associates.com. That's mja-associates.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I like the idea of seeking like counsel on things, because you'll chase the social post. You'll chase the thing that this guy in your network says is working really well, or whatever whatever schemes that comes up next, right? I mean, recruiting has a ton of Ponzi schemes, and staffing has a ton of Ponzi schemes from softwares, and there's stories that you see all the time. We booked, $150,000 a day for the last 7 days using this model. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, great. And so, but some people, especially if we're in a time when things are difficult, we're susceptible to those things. We'll investigate it, and whether or not we purchase the software, we may have just now invested and wasted X amount of time, and how much of our time worth, in over investing our time in the research and in the evaluation of some of these products. I think it's important to have someone that actually you can trust, whether it's a coach, whether it's a CMO, whether it's an agency, whatever it may be, that you can rely on to kind of be that expert to be able to give you the guidance you need based off of what you're seeing and what you're experiencing, not just some fly by night social post or some guy you've never met or talked to.
Find a coach is one of the main talking points in the presentation I've given all year. So when I talk about what the best staffing and recruiting firms are doing differently, I believe they find a coach in key areas of their business. I don't think that the answers have to come from within your own four walls. And I think too often we get a coach in our personal lives, whether it's a therapist or it's a financial consultant or it's a personal trainer or a nutritionist, heck, even a priest or somebody at church can be a coach in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That we do that in our personal lives. And then we go to our office and we sit down, we close our door and we sit there as sales reps and we think, oh, why can't I close anything?
Right.
And knowing darn well, there are tons of sales coaches. I mean, I've had probably 15 alone on Take the Stage this year, all of which just want to have a conversation and help.
Right.
And I think finding that coach and saying, listen, times are tough. Here's the challenge. Here's what we're seeing in Buffalo, New York. What have you seen for some of the other coaches or the other clients that you've worked with? What's working well for staffing and recruiting firms right now? And having that open conversation. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, and I know I'll speak for you here. I love those conversations. I think you do too. I mean, I love when somebody reaches out and just wants to talk shop and say, listen, man, I know you're in marketing. I know you work with staffing and recruiting firms. You have for 12 years, 13 years. Let's talk about it. What are you working with? What are you seeing? What's working well?
Right. Now, what if it's too late? What if I've already invested in new infrastructure, new CRM, new ATS? I've bought every marketing ploy ever sold to me. I'm just completely extended in what I've done. What do I do? How do I narrow it down?
I can start with that. You want me to?
Yeah, I'm asking you, man.
Yeah. Evaluate your contracts and punt the things that you don't need.
Okay. Well, how do I do that though? How do I know what I don't need?
Great question. Treat this like therapy. Let's go, Brad. So how do you know what you don't need? It's having the open and honest conversation and saying, okay, I've bought this ATS with all of these additional bells and whistles. Am I using them? Am I using all of the automations that I need? Does every sales rep need a seat in this tool? I'm thinking right now, so our sales funnel automation program, we can in theory set every sales rep up in that software. And in my heart, I believe every sales rep should have a seat in that software. But if Steve, the sales rep, isn't actively logging in and it's not part of his sales system, and as a sales leader, I can't get through to Steve to use the tool, well, then you probably don't need a seat in that specific software. And that's okay. Right? So I'm just using that as an example. But think about it and look at what your team is doing. What tools is your team actively utilizing? Do you need a seat in every single thing that you're doing? Or does just Steve need a seat in that tool? Can you get one universal login for Brad's staffing firm and you're all using access to that? I think it's sitting down though and saying, okay, this is our tech stack. And whether it's a stack or just a series of a whole bunch of different things that you're paying a monthly bill for, saying, okay, this is what we're paying. Are we using it all effectively? That was your first talking point is, are we actively using the stuff that we're paying for?
Yeah. Well, one thing that came to mind that's interesting about this would be, so, we think about overinvesting from just a technology perspective and how do you whittle that down? But when you brought up Steve not using the software like we should be, and we know it's a valuable tool because Brad is using it and Brad's killing it. Well, maybe we should stop investing in Steve. So what does that look like from an employer personnel perspective? Is that an area that we can say, well, we need to invest in more tools, and we've laid that out and say we have a good plan for that. We know what we're getting out of it, but then how do I then stop my over investing in employees that are no longer bringing value to my organization? That's a tough one.
Super tough.
But probably in a lot of ways, something a lot of firms are evaluating at this time.
Yeah, I would think so. A little bit out of my wheelhouse because I don't deal with player personnel over here at all. But I will spin that to, okay, instead of getting rid of Steve because Steve isn't using the tools, do I have the right tools to make Steve successful and effective and efficient and productive? Am I fueling Steve, the sales rep, to be the best that he can be?
Yeah, I mean, there's a dimension to that, but there also is, again, if you're comparing Steve to Brad and to
100%.
other people on the team, and he's not living up to it now, and they have all the tools and all things equal, and he's refusing or not, he's not able to adapt to that. So again, the question, how do you adapt without over-investing? If your team's adapting to the tools and technologies and the things that are happening in 2025 and Steve is being left behind, maybe it's time to let Steve go. Now, I don't recommend it for this Steve, but
I'm going to clip that.
Steve,
I am clipping that. I can't wait to clip that and put that in Slack. Maybe it's time to let Steve go.
Maybe it's time to get Steve out of here.
Maybe.
And
that's an honest conversation that needs to have to be evaluated. That's something that needs to be looked at because as we look at, and Steve, honestly, man, as AI gets more ingrained in our systems, more ingrained in our companies, there might be a real conversation of, do we need 10 recruiters? Do we need 10 sales reps? Or can the right tool fuel 5 recruiters and 5 sales reps? It's an honest conversation that needs to be looked at.
Well, you were at NAPS, right? So with me. So we're sitting there at a booth, right? We're watching the conference, watching speakers. And speaker A got up and they talked about outsourcing and how to take away your stateside sales team and then outsource it to either nearshore or offshore it. Speaker 2 got up, spoke about the same thing. Speaker 3, there was like 4 or 5 speakers that were giving tips of how to offshore, nearshore your talent and your sales team. And then all the other talks were about AI tools to be able to help replace them or make them more efficient. And so it was interesting because you're there at the conference and not all owners, right? These are staff level individuals that are there, probably bigger billers that they're from the chance to go, but they're all sitting there listening to the tips and tricks of how to use software and then nearshore and offshore to replace themselves within the organization so that the owners could be more effective in what they're doing from a revenue perspective. But it's the reality, right? It's it's what it is. And so, I mean, that's an interesting thought of how to adapt without overinvesting. Make sure you're not overstaffed.
Anything else you want to share on the topic?
Yeah, it's just, we're going to have to talk about how your future with recruiter websites is affecting my bottom line.
I look forward to that conversation with you, sir.
That'll work for you.
Yes, let's have that conversation. All right, another one. Let's go to Rachel Reed. Is email dead?
Rachel would ask this question, wouldn't she? Rachel is an automation expert.
Yeah.
Let
me first say, if you have not heard of Rachel Reed and you have not checked out her episode of Insights, please go back and check that out. We talked about marketing automation and how marketing automation is supporting and fueling the staffing and recruiting industry. But Steve, sorry to cut you off, man. Is email dead?
No. That's my answer. No. It's not dead.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is why we bring him on the show. For takes like that.
It's not there, period. And no, it's not dead, right? We still use it every single day. I think it's different, of course, just like anything else. It's changed, evolved. People are less likely to read an email that's not personalized. It doesn't have certain criteria. But I don't think it's dead. I think there's ways to do that. And we were actually kind of talking about this a little bit before, Brad. I mean, what are your thoughts? How do you still utilize it when it's not as effective as maybe it was in the same ways that we used to send those emails?
So different take just came to me than what we talked about in pre-production. I think bad email is dead, just like bad social media is dead, just like bad video is dead, just like bad cold outreach is dead.
Sure.
I think we as consumers of media are becoming more sophisticated in what we want to receive and how we want to receive it. So I think gone are the days of the cold email outreach that is just a one-off email and, hey, today's your lucky day. I got an order for you. Yeah. I think that email is dead. I think email in the sense of you're spamming me. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't trust you. That email is dead. I think good email, when properly executed with the right automations to the right people at the right time, is incredibly impactful. Breaking email down into segments, new customers, former customers, repeat customers. No, or I should say clients instead of customers. I apologize, going kind of consumer goods there instead. But people that you've worked with in the past, people that are on a prospect list because you've sort of started talking to them, but they're not current customers. And then current customers that you want to get more business from. Segmenting, having the right messaging. That email, in my mind, is very much alive. Just like that messaging would be very much alive if you called somebody and you segmented it. So to me, bad email is dead. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
very,
that's
very
good.
much so.
Yeah. I think segmentation is huge of an audience. Like you said, but that is because everybody has different needs. And so why am I sending a general newsletter out to everybody and not even breaking them down client versus candidate? I'm sending everyone the same article, even from that simple approach. But then even getting more finite with that, are they an HR manager? Are they hiring manager? Are they production manager? What is their role within the organization? And then what do they want to hear? And then not only do they want to hear, what do they want to receive from a level of value in that email? So even if I'm segmenting them, what is it that I'm giving them or incentivizing them to be able to respond or open that email, which it's a little harder in our industry versus like we were talking about this with Gymshark. They send you a 20% off coupon and they're hitting you every week with a new product or new color of a shirt or whatever it is that you have. And it gives you a reason to read or open that email. Staffing, we don't really have that. So what is a piece of content? What can we do to incentivize someone responding or opening? What can we give them? Where's the value?
So I think the best staffing and recruiting firms are consultants. They're not order takers. So the best email that you could have would take a consultative approach to a challenge that your prospects are currently facing. So let me kind of spin this back on me, and then we can talk staffing and recruiting. I'm an active runner. I have been for like a year and a half now. Right now, we're getting into fall miles. We're getting into winter miles. So any sort of content that is sent to me about running better be about how to run in the snow. It should be about how to layer. It should be about how to make sure I don't slip. It should be tailored towards that. I don't need to know about how to get ready for summer runs, humidity, things like that. That email, in my mind, is dead. Right now, that doesn't matter to me because my pain point coming up right now is how do I get ready for 2 half marathons in the fall miles, leaves that are slippery, things like that. How do I stretch around that? Very, very specific to where I am, seasonality, current pain points. That will change come the summer months when I'm battling humidity and I'm battling other things like that. In staffing and recruiting, if we're consultants, we know and we have a beat on what is going on in our customers' companies so well that we should be able to be an authority on the topics that matter to them most. So I'm thinking about hiring trends specifically in Buffalo, New York. I'm thinking about what's happening in maybe even current political affairs and how it would impact hiring in Buffalo, New York. No, there are specific, Washington State's adding a 6.5% sales tax on temp employees. Every staffing firm should be talking about that and educating their clients about what that means, right? So it's not just hey, this money isn't coming to us. It's a tax that we have to pay, but that is timely email that should be getting sent out. So yes, we can't offer the 20% off or, get the summer clothes now because they're 50% off before winter comes, but we can add value if we are consultants on a specific topic because we know our customers almost better than they do.
Right. At least we should.
That email is not dead. Right. That email is not dead. The email that's dead is the throwaway content, right? It's the, hey, 7 hiring challenges. What does that even mean? Right. So it's thinking through, okay, if I'm specific to, I only do light industrial warehouse staffing in Buffalo, New York. Good. I should know what all of those facilities, all those warehouses, all those plants, what is keeping those people up at night? What are their biggest challenges? And talk to them about it. Be the authority.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about an offer exclusive to listeners of Take the Stage. 30 minutes of strategic marketing consultation with me, completely free. Hey, whether you're looking to drive more sales or more job applications, I want to help. Visit bit.ly/stage offer. Pick a time that works best for you. That's it. Again, whether you want to drive more applications or more job orders, I want to help. That's bit.ly/stage offer. All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think you couple that with, and I'm sure Rachel's expounded on this a lot, with the automation piece of it and how, phone calls, text messages, LinkedIn messages are all pieces of that automation and part of that chain. The emails aren't just by themselves. So it's not just that one way of contact, but it's a complement or a piece of that entire chain that you're using to be able to or sequence to reach that person.
Yeah.
I think that also aids in that. Right.
Repetition creates trust. Trust creates action.
Well, and also thinking about what we want from the email too. So like you said, am I expecting that email to be the direct result of a sale? Am I to send even if I draft the most perfect timely email, is that what it's going to do? Or is it like the guy that's passing the ball to LeBron James that's gonna dunk it or whatever, make the basket? Is it an assist? Am I going to be the John Stockton is emails John Stockton in this whole chain of sequence? And so is there a level of how it is an assist to the close and to the process? So not expecting that email to be that last kind of touch point, but being a part of that, I think is something that would be interesting to think about. Because if I expect it always to be the last thing, then I'm going to be let down all the time.
I had Casey Jaycox on the show a little while ago on Take the Stage, and he had said that sales is a series of small agreements.
Right.
You're not closing on the first call. So what is the first agreement that you want a prospect to make? Is it to have a second call? Is it just to open the email and read something? Is it to have an appointment? Every time you talk to somebody in the sales pipeline, what is the agreement that you're looking for them to make with you? And it's a two-way street. And what's important there is, Steve, I think a lot of staffing and recruiting firms expect, I sent the email, I should get 5 orders. Or I sent the emails to, a list that who knows if it's even clean. I sent an email to a list that I've had for 25 years. I didn't get any orders from it, so email's dead. Well, the challenge with that is it's not necessarily email isn't dead. Your execution of email is dead. Your intended outcome of email is dead. Gone are the days where all of that works just like that. It just doesn't work like that. Consumers are too smart. They're too sophisticated.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's great. I mean, I think it lends into the same thing we talked about beginning too, as well. How do you adapt with that overinvesting? It's getting the most out of email or having the right expectations out of that tool or out of that software before you invest in something else and move on. So I think that all relates pretty well.
Yeah. It's kind of a tangent here, but I had a client recently tell me that pay-per-click advertising is dead, that PPC doesn't work. Yeah. And, my honest thought is if that's true, Facebook wouldn't be $1 trillion company, right? Like Facebook makes its money because of ads.
Google's $52 billion in annual revenue coming in from ads.
Correct. So they work. The execution of how you've done them in the past is dead, is not working. Yeah. So I think, Rachel had a great question. I think we framed it really, really well. Is email dead? Maybe if you're using legacy thinking and you're deploying email tactics that worked in, early 2000s or even more recently. Yeah. We need to adapt in the execution of how we're using media because, again, consumers are sophisticated and they're pivoting how they want to consume media.
Yeah. Adapt in how we're using and adapt in our expectations.
That's good enough for me, Steve. What do you think? You got anything else on your mind today?
Nope. That's it.
That's our show. And thank you for listening to another episode of Insights. If you found this episode valuable, we would love to know. You can message Brad or Steve on LinkedIn. If you have a question for us, you can tweet us at Haley Marketing or email us at info@haleymarketing.com. And of course, if you need a hand with your recruitment or digital marketing efforts, we'd love to help. Again, message info@haleymarketing.com and be sure you tell them that Insights sent you. To Steve Gipson, I'm Brad Bialy. We'll see you next time.